If you're not using ChatGPT in Excel, you're already behind. AI is changing how professionals work, and those who master it now will gain an unfair advantage over everyone else. Right now, AI is saving professionals 2 to 3 hours per day on data tasks. Companies using AI report 82% faster decision making with fewer errors. The question is, are you going to take advantage of it or be left behind? But here's the good news. You don't need to be a tech expert to start using AI in Excel. The following minutes can put you ahead of the vast majority of your competition. This isn't just another ChatGPT tutorial with the same basic tips you've seen before. This video is designed to go beyond the basics, covering powerful techniques that most people don't know about. Among the topics we'll cover are transforming a boring CSV file into an interactive dashboard, preparing for your first day at work, creating your own personalized GPT, and much more. But enough talking, let's get started. In the first example, we have a hypothetical customer named Paradise Coffee who sent us this email. Attached, you'll find our latest sales data in CSV format. Could you create a dashboard to present the data in a more meaningful way? Our goal is to utilize this file and create an engaging, easy-to-use dashboard. First, we download the data and open the file. Since it's a CSV file, the data appears in a less user-friendly format. Additionally, we notice some missing data. For example, the date here, the product there, and we've only checked the first few lines. This is an issue we should keep in mind and correct as we move forward. Let's get into action by heading over to ChatGPT. In this tutorial, we'll be using the free version, so you can apply everything right away, except the example in Chapter 8, which requires the upgraded version. At the time of recording, the Plus version costs $20 per month, but keep in mind that this price is before taxes. Depending on your location, it can go up to $25 or around 24 euros. The free version can handle our tasks quite well, but it does come with daily limits on certain features, such as data analysis, image creation, and more. So, it's up to you to decide whether you need the Plus version or not. Back to our example, the first step is to ask ChatGPT to convert the CSV file into a regular Excel format. Let's attach the file and write a simple prompt. As we can see, it's analyzing it. Impressive! Not only did it transform the file into a proper Excel format, but it also successfully identified the columns and the same issues we noticed earlier. Then, it cleaned the data by removing empty rows and formatting everything correctly, without us even asking, even though that would have been our next step. Let's review the result. Everything looks perfect, no empty cells, each category is in its own column, and the data is properly formatted. Now, we can move on to the next step, asking for help with data analysis. We can say something like, give me in 5 bullets useful information, such as trends or metrics you can extract and that I can use to build a dashboard. Okay, ChatGPT provided 5 key insights that can guide us in the dashboard creation process. However, since this video isn't focused on building the dashboard itself and covering that in detail would make the video much longer, we'll fast forward to the final result. The first version of our dashboard is ready. We have some charts and a slicer to filter products, all using Excel's default colors. Now, we can ask ChatGPT to extract the brand colors so that the dashboard is personalized for our customer. We attach their logo and request 6 colors in both RGB and hex codes. There's a specific reason we ask for 6 colors. Let's switch back to Excel to apply them. In Excel, we go to the Page Layout tab, then Colors, and select Customize Colors. Here, we'll update the 6 accent colors. This is why we needed exactly 6 colors from ChatGPT. We name the color combination Paradise Coffee and then change the 6 accent colors. We can use either the RGB or hex codes, but hex is easier since it's a single value. Once we apply all 6 colors, our custom color theme is ready. And just like that, all colors in our dashboard update automatically because the active theme color has changed. Now, with these brand colors easily accessible, we can quickly fine-tune the dashboard's appearance. Before making final adjustments, we can take some design inspiration. We ask ChatGPT to generate an illustration of a dashboard to gather ideas. For a proper landscape orientation, we request a 16:9 ratio in the prompt. Feel free to pause the video and read the full prompt in detail. Here's the first result. Not bad, but I think we can get a better version. Let's request a brighter color variation. A few seconds later, we get the second result, which looks much better and is something we can use for inspiration. This dashboard has a beautiful wallpaper, so we can ask ChatGPT to create one for us to visually enhance our own dashboard. The result is perfect. Also, as you can see, we can't generate more images today, which means the free plan allows us to create about 3 images per day. Now that we have our inspiration, let's move on to finalizing the dashboard's appearance. Again, we'll skip that part since it is not in the scope of the video. And here is the final result, perfectly aligned with the brand's aesthetics. We will learn in another video how to create impressive dashboards, so you will be notified unless you are not following the channel, so this is your chance to subscribe. The dashboard consists of 5 charts, a wallpaper in the middle, and buttons above it that allow us to select a product. These buttons are linked to all charts, except for the first one, since that chart is already categorized by product. The last step is to show the dashboard to ChatGPT and ask it to write an email to our customer summarizing our findings. Again, feel free to pause the video and read the full prompt. In just a few seconds, ChatGPT generated a well-structured email with an analysis. Let's review it. There are some points I don't fully agree with. For example, I don't think we should decrease the price of Americano. On the contrary, I believe we must increase it. Because if you look at this chart, it shows that Americano has nearly the same sales as Espresso, but generates significantly less revenue. Also, in point 4, it overlooks digital payments, which are already very high, and instead suggests shifting cash payments to mobile payments to increase digitalization. At the end of the day, ChatGPT is just a tool. It helps you build the foundation of your work and enhance its quality, but your own judgment and human intuition are essential. Even ChatGPT itself mentions that ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. In this chapter, we will see some simple ways to improve our prompts. We start with an example of an error in a VLOOKUP function. The error appears because the ID we are searching for doesn't exist in the list and NA stands for not available. We can simply ask ChatGPT to help us identify the issue with VLOOKUP. Let's try it. OK, it provides 7 possible reasons for the error and the correct function structure with an example. Not bad, it's clear that ChatGPT can help. However, with some small adjustments, we can save time and effort. First, we can provide a screenshot to help ChatGPT understand the situation and context more clearly. Then, we can be more specific, giving details like the exact cell where the issue occurs and mentioning that it returns an NA error. Additionally, we can ask for a simpler explanation, making the response easier to understand. With these improvements, ChatGPT narrows the possible reasons down to 4. And now, the first recommendation is the one that actually fixes the issue, since, as we said earlier, the ID does not exist in the list. On top of that, it even suggests a way to make the formula more user-friendly by returning not found instead of the NA error. We can also aim for more personalized responses. Let's do an experiment. Imagine we want to understand VLOOKUP. First, let's ask in a standard way by simply saying, "Explain VLOOKUP." The result we get is a well-structured general explanation. It's clear, but nothing particularly tailored to specific needs. Now, let's say we want a very basic explanation of VLOOKUP. We can rephrase our request and say, "Explain VLOOKUP to my mother who has never used a computer." This time, the response is totally different. It uses an analogy comparing VLOOKUP to a tool that helps her quickly find the page in a recipe book where the apple pie recipe is located. It also explains each VLOOKUP element using simple words, directly linking them to the apple pie example in the analogy. Plus, it uses very little to no mathematical or technical jargon. Now, let's do the opposite and ask ChatGPT to explain VLOOKUP to an advanced programmer. As expected, the response is much more complex. It references SQL, goes deeper into how VLOOKUP works internally, discusses performance considerations, and even suggests alternative functions. Let's try another example, this time with pivot tables. Once again, we start by asking the default way, simply saying, "Explain pivot tables." The result is a well-structured standard response, providing an example and step-by-step instructions on how to create a pivot table. Next, let's simplify the explanation by asking, "Explain pivot tables to a 10-year-old kid." This time, ChatGPT uses Lego bricks as an analogy, making the concept more relatable to something familiar to a child. It explains how a pivot table would automatically sort Lego bricks by color and tell it how many it has. Also, as you notice here, we've hit the limit for the GPT-4o model for today. We can continue by using the less advanced model or wait for the next day. Let's come back tomorrow so that we can compare our 3 examples using the same terms. Alright, we're back the next day and we once again have access to the more advanced model. Now, let's take it a step further and ask ChatGPT to explain pivot tables to a philosophy professor. This time, the response is tailored to the professor's expertise, describing a scenario a professor might encounter. such as analyzing a large collection of philosophical arguments. The explanation is full of philosophy-related references, making the concept highly relevant and easier to grasp in that specific context. So, changing how we ask makes ChatGPT's responses more tailored. A general prompt gives a basic explanation, but specifying the audience adjusts the depth and style. In this chapter, imagine a hypothetical scenario where I lied on my CV, claiming I have great Excel skills even though I only know the basics. So, I've just been hired as an office secretary and tomorrow is my first day. This is the hypothetical job ad, which mentions tasks like maintaining spreadsheets for scheduling and tracking projects, creating reports using Excel functions like sum, average, and conditional formatting, and tracking expenses and managing budgets. We can ask ChatGPT to help us prepare for the first day at work, and of course, it's essential to copy the description of the job. I just copied it here. ChatGPT gives us a list of essential skills, which is very useful, because now we know exactly what to focus on. It also suggests creating a sample file to practice, which is a great idea, but not yet. First, we'll ask for the information above in tabular form to make it clearer. Perfect. Everything is more structured. Now is a good time to ask ChatGPT to generate an Excel file to help us practice these specific skills. This transforms our preparation into a real-world scenario, making us job-ready faster. Okay, here's the link to download the Excel file, and here are the questions we need to solve. Let's review the Excel. Not bad, it includes 3 worksheets and the topic is relevant to our future office secretary tasks. Normally, we'd solve the Excel test, but since it's not the focus of this tutorial, let's move on to the final step, asking for the solutions. But not just that, we also need simple explanations to fully understand everything. And just like that, ChatGPT acts as an Excel teacher, explaining the solutions step by step in a clear and simple way. Lastly, it ends the conversation with an inspiring message. So instead of randomly searching for tutorials, we can get a list of specific formulas and tools relevant to our job. In the second part of this chapter, we will review a similar example, but this time we'll take a step back, specifically to the stage before a job interview. Let's imagine that the job we applied for is Marketing Assistant Analyst. As we can see, it has many Excel-related requirements, and we've been informed that the interview will include an Excel test. So, let's turn to ChatGPT for assistance. We explain that we have a job interview that includes an Excel test and we ask for help to prepare. Of course, we also provide the job description to get specific and relevant guidance. Let's pause here to comment on this phrase, memory updated. This means that our ChatGPT's memory has been updated. And even if we start a new conversation from scratch, it will remember certain details, like the fact that we applied for a marketing assistant analyst position or any other important information from our prompt. However, if you want to disable memory mode, you can easily do it from the settings. Okay, let's continue. Based on the job description, ChatGPT suggests 6 main areas to focus on, along with useful formulas and instructions for each category. Additionally, it recommends creating a sample Excel test, which can be very helpful, so I'll accept and make sure it includes some exercises. It's analyzing for a while. And finally, the Excel file is ready. Let's download it. In the first tab, we see some data, and in the second tab, we find 8 exercises. Pretty good, exactly what we asked for. Just like before, in a normal situation, we would complete the exercises, but for now, let's assume we've finished and ask for the solutions and explanations on each step. ChatGPT provides detailed explanations, and at the end of each exercise, it even clarifies the why behind the answer. Perfect. This would be great preparation for our interview, but let's take it a step further and ask ChatGPT to act as our interviewer for a mock interview simulation. It welcomes us and asks a question about Excel, specifically pivot tables. That's important because it understood that we want to prepare for an Excel-related interview. Under normal conditions, it could have asked about marketing topics, but it tailored the question to this specific conversation. Okay, let's intentionally give a wrong answer just to see how it responds. I think my answer is quite inaccurate. ChatGPT politely informs us that the answer is incorrect and rephrases the question to help us understand better, just like a good interviewer would do. In the meantime, you can see that we've hit the free plan limit for GPT-4o, and the limit will reset tomorrow after 2 a.m. For your information, that's in about 4 hours from now. But let's continue with the next available model, which isn't as advanced. I continue the conversation and it will automatically use the next available version. Okay, now I gave a general reply and it accepted it. Next, it asks about VLOOKUP, so let's give another vague answer. It responds with exactly, but then asks for clarification, which makes sense because we didn't really answer the question. Now, let's try a funny response and say that we would Google it, or even better, use ChatGPT to help us. It laughs and compliments our honesty, which is a nice touch. Okay, we'll end the interview here because it could go on forever, but you get the idea. ChatGPT can be a great tool for interview practice, and you can even customize its behavior, asking it to be a strict interviewer, someone who asks tricky questions, or anything else that suits your preparation style. ChatGPT isn't just a generic assistant, it can be personalized to understand how you want it to respond, what kind of tone it should have, and even specific instructions on how it should interact with you. The best part, once customized, these characteristics become the default in every new conversation, so you don't have to repeat your preferences each time. We can access the settings from this menu. There are several options, but we'll go to Personalization. Here, we can enable or disable memory mode, as we discussed in the previous chapter. But for now, let's focus on custom instructions and what they mean. First, we can choose how ChatGPT should address us and provide a short description of what we do. Then, we have the option to select traits that define how ChatGPT interacts with us. If we hover over these options, we get a brief explanation. It can be formal, professional, chatty, or anything else we prefer. There are also default trait recommendations, which we can refresh using this button. Let's add something more specialized to test how it works. For example, we can set ChatGPT to always reply using philosophy references. And in this last box, we can add any extra instructions we need. I personally like to use it as an opportunity to create shortcuts during my conversations. For example, I can set a letter code like AAA as a shortcut to summarize the topic in just a few sentences, BBB to do the opposite by expanding the topic in great detail, and CCC to format the information in a table, making it easier to understand. Now, let's test it and see the results. So let's test ChatGPT's behavior after the changes with a simple prompt like explain pivot tables. Great, we can see the philosophical influences such as Descartes' method, Plato's theory of forms, Aristotle's empirical approach, and even the phrase seeing the essence. Now, let's check our shortcuts. We type the letter code CCC. And as per our instructions, ChatGPT returns the topic in tabular form. Next, we try AAA, which should summarize the topic in just a few phrases. And yes, it worked exactly as expected. Finally, we test BBB, which should do the opposite and expand the topic in great detail. Indeed, the explanation is now much more extensive, strictly following our instructions. By using these self-made shortcuts, we can save time, and obviously, you can create more based on your needs or even ask for different kinds of behavior. Feel free to get creative and customize ChatGPT to work exactly how you want. Now, let's take things a step further and explore the library of GPTs. ChatGPT isn't just a single tool, it also includes pre-built custom models, which are essentially the same ChatGPT, but modified to be more specialized and optimized for specific tasks. Some are great for writing, productivity, research, and programming, while others focus on design, video editing, presentations, and more. To access the library of available custom GPTs, we click on Explore GPTs. Here, they are categorized by type, and there are plenty to choose from, so feel free to explore them. You can notice the category called by ChatGPT, and you may wonder, aren't all of them from ChatGPT? The answer is no. Anyone can create and publish their own custom GPT, and we'll actually create one ourselves in a later chapter. So let's quickly scan through the categories. As you can see, there are options like writing, productivity, research and analysis, education, lifestyle, etc. Each containing several AI models with unique functionalities. Since we're focusing on Excel and data analysis, let's click on Excel AI. This is a custom GPT designed specifically for handling data, and it's highly rated with over 1 million conversations. We can also see some default conversation starters. Let's start the chat by selecting the first pre-made option, Data Analysis Mode, to see how it responds. It introduces itself and explains its capabilities, including cleaning data, performing statistical analysis, generating visualizations, and more. Sounds promising. So let's insert some data and put it to the test. We upload a monthly sales dataset containing sales, profit, expenses, and customer count, then ask it to generate charts. After a brief analysis, it creates 2 charts. A line chart showing financial trends over the months, and a bar chart displaying customer counts. We now have some options like Expand Chart or Switch to Interactive Chart. Switching to interactive mode makes the background transparent and allows us to see data labels when hovering over the chart. In this mode, we can also customize the colors. So let's change them to blue, green, and pink. The third icon allows us to download the chart as an image. Let's also edit the bar chart and download it in both interactive and standard format to test the result. Here are the results. We downloaded the bar chart in both standard format and the interactive format, which, as we said, has a transparent background and the custom colors we selected. However, keep in mind that these charts are static images, meaning they work perfectly for reports and presentations where the data doesn't need further adjustments or real-time interaction. One important clarification: Excel AI helped us create these charts, but regular ChatGPT can do the same. This was just a test of how custom GPTs can enhance specific tasks. So, this concludes our demonstration of the Custom GPT Excel AI, but keep in mind that you can do so much more depending on your needs. In this scenario, imagine we are working at the marketing company where we had an interview in Chapter 3. We're having a calm moment in the office when our boss walks in with a sense of urgency and says, "I need a full report on electric scooter sales trends, complete with data, charts, insights, and valid citations, and I need it in 30 minutes. Thanks." Normally, we would panic. However, with the tool we're about to review, our job just got a whole lot easier. We're heading back to the Custom GPTs page, and this time we're selecting Scholar GPT, a powerful tool for research and data gathering. If we need up-to-date sources, detailed reports, or academic papers to enhance our analysis, this GPT is a game changer. It's designed for research, providing access to Google Scholar, PubMed, and more, making it perfect for finding reliable sources. It's not just useful for our report, it can also be a great tool for academic projects when we need valid sources for assignments, essays, or even a thesis. Let's start with our first prompt. We ask Scholar GPT to gather the latest market research and numerical data on electric scooter sales, covering customer demographics, regional sales performance, seasonal trends, and product preferences. Additionally, we request relevant studies on factors driving e-scooter popularity, such as eco-friendliness and urban mobility needs. The goal is to create a data-driven marketing strategy based on up-to-date insights. Scholar GPT quickly processes our request and organizes the data into categories: recent market research papers, customer demographics and purchasing behavior presented in a structured table, seasonal sales trends and regional preferences, and factors driving electric scooter popularity. It even concludes with possible next steps, giving us a clear direction for our report. Another useful trick is that we can make different GPTs communicate within the same chat. By inserting this symbol, a list of custom GPTs appears, allowing us to bring them into the conversation, just like tagging a friend in a team chat. However, keep in mind that only GPTs we have previously interacted with will appear in this list. So, if a specific GPT is missing, we first need to open a separate chat with it before it becomes accessible in our current session. So right now, we have some raw data, but we need visualization to make sense of it all. To do that, we'll send this data to Excel AI to generate charts. We type, based on the data mentioned above, create charts to illustrate useful information. Excel AI analyzes the research and suggests generating 4 different charts, which will be provided in a downloadable Excel file. Sounds great. Let's wait for the result. Oh, there's an issue. We've reached the free version's data analysis limit, which would normally mean waiting until tomorrow. However, in our scenario, we assume that we already have the paid version since ChatGPT is an essential tool we use every day in our new marketing role, so there's no issue. For this demonstration, we'll come back tomorrow, but before that, we can do one final step, reviewing the sources provided by Scholar GPT. The links appear as blue highlighted text. This one is from Science Direct. Let's check a few others. This source contains a forecast for the decade 2022 to 2032. This one seems relevant and offers some free downloadable PDFs. Depending on the website, some sources are available for free, while others require a purchase or access through an institution. Here's one from ResearchGate. Let's try downloading the PDF. Okay, we got it, and now we can review it more thoroughly. This is the one we checked first. This step is essential because we can't blindly trust ChatGPT. So, this is one of the biggest advantages of using Scholar GPT. It doesn't just generate generic answers, it provides real citations and external links to peer-reviewed studies and industry reports, making it a powerful tool for research-related tasks, market analysis, and academic projects where source credibility matters. So we come back the next day and try again to access Excel AI. This time, it successfully creates an Excel file. So let's download it and check the charts. There are no charts. Let's ask what happened. As we've seen, ChatGPT can make mistakes, and that's normal. This is why we must always double-check the results instead of assuming everything is correct. It generates an updated version. Let's check this one. This time, the charts are properly included in the file. Now, we have data presented with visual insights, which will be very useful since our boss specifically asked for charts as well. However, we also need to present our findings in a professional format, so we ask for a 500-word report summarizing the key insights in a structured format. Scholar GPT instantly starts generating a well-structured report. Oh no, another error delaying our attempt to meet the 30-minute deadline, but we won't give up. This issue happens from time to time and is network related. We'll simply press regenerate and try again. And this time it works. The report is structured very well, summarizing our findings clearly, and it even includes recommendations for the marketing strategy. Perfect. Now the result is ready without any more issues. The report is solid, but there's one last step. We need to humanize the text and ensure it's written in a natural professional tone. So, we use another custom GPT, Undetectable AI Humanizer. This tool rewrites AI-generated text to make it sound more human, professional, and engaging while keeping the original meaning intact. We also notice that in the last version, there were no citations or sources included in the text, so this is the perfect opportunity to ask for both improvements at once, making the text sound more natural while also adding proper citations to support the findings. While the AI processes the text, we can see that sources are now included in the appropriate places, making the report more credible. The AI enhances readability, adjusts sentence flow, and ensures the final report feels like it was written by an expert. And just like that, we have a professional, research-backed report, complete with sources and a well-structured narrative. Now, we can send the report to our boss, along with the Excel file containing the charts, all within the 30-minute deadline. So, in this chapter, we saw that even though ChatGPT can experience some issues, it can significantly save us time by providing up-to-date sources and structuring data into meaningful insights. An important note here, when working in a professional environment, do not upload sensitive information to ChatGPT as it may process or store data that shouldn't be shared. Always use non-critical data or publicly available information. Some companies have specific AI plans that ensure data privacy. For example, organizations using Microsoft 365 can access Copilot, Microsoft's AI tool, which offers enterprise-level data security. Of course, the same applies outside of the professional environment as well. Avoid uploading any sensitive or confidential data, whether it's personal or work-related. Also, ChatGPT states this when creating a new account. Now, let's move on to something that can save us even more time: automation with macros. If you do the same process every day in Excel, manually repeating the same steps, then you're wasting valuable time. Instead, we can automate the entire workflow using a simple VBA macro. For those who don't know, VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, is the programming language that runs behind Excel, making automation possible. A macro is simply a set of instructions written in VBA that tells Excel what to do step by step. Instead of repeating the same tasks manually, we can run a macro, and Excel will do everything for us automatically. In our example, we have a specific daily task that needs to be streamlined. It involves multiple steps. First, we need to remove all rows where the department is HR. Then, we highlight in green the age column for employees under 30. Next, we highlight in yellow the names of employees named John. Finally, we extract the top 5 highest salaries, copy them to a new section, and create a bar chart displaying these top earners. Instead of doing all these steps manually every day, let's ask ChatGPT to create a macro that will handle everything for us. We explain our requirements clearly and even attach a screenshot of the dataset to provide more context. ChatGPT processes the request and writes a VBA macro tailored to our needs. Let's check how it works. It looks great, it follows every rule we set. Now, for those who have never used a macro before, we need to insert this code into Excel and run it. We ask ChatGPT for step-by-step instructions on how to do it. It provides clear guidance. Open the VBA editor with Alt and F11, insert a new module, paste the code, save the file as a macro-enabled workbook, and then run the macro from Alt and F8. Let's test it. Running the macro should instantly apply all the changes we need. We go to the Developer tab and open Visual Basic, which is the environment where we insert our VBA code. If you don't see the Developer tab, you can easily add it from the Options menu. Next, we create a new module. And here we just paste our code. Nice. Now we are ready to run it. There are several ways to run a macro, but the easiest way is to return to Excel and click Macros. The macro that we created appears here, so we run it. And it seems correct. But let's test the results. As expected, only the cells with the name John are highlighted in yellow. The ages below 30 are correctly marked in green, while 30 remains uncolored just as it should. Also, all rows with HR in the department column should be removed. Let's check. There's no HR option left, meaning they were successfully deleted. And finally, the top 5 highest salaries have been copied and used to generate our chart. Now, instead of wasting time manually processing this data every day, we just run the macro and everything is done in seconds. Over time, this saves us countless hours of repetitive work. This is how we can use VBA and ChatGPT to work smarter, not harder. If we have any repetitive tasks in Excel, automating them with this approach is truly a game changer. So even if you have no experience with macros, you now have an advanced VBA programmer at your fingertips. And if you already know VBA, ChatGPT can serve as a great guide to help you build macros yourself, or, like in this example, it can generate the entire code for you without needing to write a single line. However, having some VBA knowledge is still valuable and can help you stand out. In upcoming videos on this channel, we'll focus more on macros and explore their full potential. This chapter is the only one in this video that requires the paid subscription of ChatGPT, and that's because we'll be creating our own custom GPT, just like the ones we explored in chapters 5 and 6. So, for this part of the video, we'll be using a paid ChatGPT account. We start by clicking on the profile picture and selecting My GPTs, a section that is not available in the free version. Here, we can see the custom GPTs already created, and at the top, there's an option to create a new GPT. After selecting it, we begin the process of building our own AI assistant. In the Configure tab, we can manually insert all the details, but a better approach is to start with the Create tab. This allows us to chat with ChatGPT and shape our new tool step by step, making most of the setup process automatic. Once we're done, we can return to the Configure tab to fine-tune the details. Now, let's create a custom GPT focused on helping us learn Excel, named Excel Artista GPT. As we can see, the name has already changed at the top of the screen. Next, it asks some clarifying questions, such as what kind of learning experience we want. Since we want general Excel-related assistance, we simply respond everything. The GPT is being updated. But an error appeared. Let's regenerate. Now the setup is complete. It even generates a profile picture based on the theme. But we can refine it by asking for a slightly different version. Okay, this seems better, so we select it. On the right side of the screen, we can see how the GPT will look to users, including its name, description, and 4 starting messages for quick interactions. Now, we switch to the Configure tab, where all the settings have been automatically filled based on our conversation in the Create tab. This makes it easier to simply make adjustments and finalize our GPT. One of the most important sections is the instructions box, which defines how our GPT responds. It contains detailed guidelines based on our previous inputs, but we can refine it further. In this case, we want our custom GPT to follow 4 specific steps in every reply. 1. Explain everything in very simple terms, as if we are using Excel for the first time. 2. Give 2 examples, one from everyday life and one related to sports. 3. Summarize the key points in a table for clarity. 4. Create an illustration representing the concept using DALL-E, ChatGPT's built-in image generation tool. We also customize the first default conversation starter, adding an option for our GPT to tell an Excel-related joke just for fun. Another powerful feature is the ability to upload files such as Word documents, PDFs, or datasets, allowing our GPT to process and reference large amounts of information. This enables it to provide more personalized and data-driven responses. We won't upload anything for now, but it's an important option to keep in mind. In the Capabilities section, we enable the Code Interpreter and Data Analysis, since this can be especially useful for an Excel-focused GPT. Once everything is set, we click Create. Next, we select the visibility settings. If we choose the third option, the GPT will be publicly available in the Custom GPT's library. We can also generate a private link to share it with specific people. For now, we'll select only me to keep it private. And it's ready. Our custom GPT now looks just like any other pre-built AI assistant, complete with the profile image, description, and conversation starters. Now, let's test it. We select our Excel joke prompt, and as expected, it tells us an Excel-related joke. But now, let's see if it truly follows the detailed instructions we set. We input a simple request, explain pivot tables. I'll pause it while it's giving the answers to review the replies. First, it provides a simple explanation, making the concept easy to understand. Then, it gives a real-life example using a grocery shopping list to explain how pivot tables organize data. This is a great analogy. After that, it provides a sports-related example explaining how a football team analysis could benefit from pivot tables. Next, it summarizes the key points in a structured table. And finally, it generates an image representing pivot tables. Even though pivot tables are an abstract concept, the illustration does a great job of visualizing the idea. Let's try one more test with conditional formatting. Again, it follows all 4 steps. A simple explanation, 2 examples, a summary table, and a picture. Looking at the illustration, we can see cells in a spreadsheet highlighted in different colors, representing how conditional formatting helps visually organize data. Of course, this is just a basic demonstration. We can create far more complex instructions for our custom GPT to match our needs. There are no limits to what we can automate or customize. This video focuses on Excel, so we built a GPT designed for Excel-related topics. However, you can apply the same knowledge to create a custom AI assistant for any other purpose, whether it's business, education, research, or even personal productivity. Now let's do something different and more creative, creating pixel art in Excel using VBA. Normally, Excel is used for numbers, formulas, and analysis, but with the right approach, we can turn it into a canvas for digital art. And of course, we'll let ChatGPT do the heavy lifting by generating the VBA code for us. First, we describe the project. We want a pixel art image of a sun with geometric patterns in the background. Each cell in Excel will act as a pixel, and the colors will be filled based on specific RGB values. The code needs to resize the cells to form a perfect grid, color the sun, and apply structured geometric patterns for the background. Once we provide these details, ChatGPT generates a complete VBA script. Let's head over to Excel and, following the same procedure as in Chapter 7, paste our VBA code. This time, we'll run the code from this play button. Let's see what happens. It's ready. Sun pixel art with geometric patterns created. OK. We can clearly see the sun in the center, smoothly transitioning from yellow to orange, and the blue geometric patterns in the background. The results are impressive. The sun has a glowing effect thanks to the gradient shading, and the patterns in the background add a cool artistic touch. And just like that, we've turned Excel into a pixel art tool using ChatGPT and VBA. Of course, we can modify the code to create different patterns, adjust the colors, or even design entirely new pixel art pieces. The fact that ChatGPT can generate pixel art for us with just a few prompts is impressive, but there's something special about creating art ourselves. Creating pixel art manually in Excel is a fun and rewarding experience. With the right techniques, Excel transforms from a spreadsheet tool into a canvas for pixel art. And while coding makes it faster, learning the manual method gives you full creative control. So if you want to learn how to create pixel art in Excel without coding, click the video that just appeared on your screen.